Hello, and thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to join us today. Join me today. I hope that there's something within this video that is a benefit to you or to somebody that you know. Please like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment down below as it does help. That is, well, regardless of whether you're watching on YouTube or another platform. I was thinking, okay, I've been a talking head enough lately reporting interesting facts about the news. I want to go a little bit back into the idea why do we do the things we do. This supposedly came off the press uh, February 10th. IRS issues. IRS has lots of issues. If you'd like, please feel free to go to visit my locals channel. I actually put up a video kind of discussing consumption based taxation versus income tax. The CDC adding COVID to school immunization records, requiring it, and another topic I covered. But, well, oh, yeah, and 4 states. There are 4 states right now. IRS still actually, see, as of February 10th, still hasn't actually finalized what they're going to do about taxes completely. This came hot off the presses from the IRS, from their newsroom. It is talking about who's being taxed, who's not being taxed this year. And we were trying to think, well, why is this? First, let me get into this part of it. If the payment is a refund of state taxes paid and either the recipient claimed the standard deduction or itemized their deduction but did not receive a tax benefit, the payment is not included in income tax federal tax purposes. Payments from the following states in 2020 fall in the category and will be excluded from income for federal tax purposes unless the recipient received a tax benefit in the year the taxes were deducted. That would be Georgia, Massachusetts, South Carolina, and Virginia. Now I know that sounds like a lot of headache because it took us a couple times to read it to go, what exactly is it they're actually saying with this? Because, like any government, they hide what they're actually saying behind a bunch of, why didn't you just say that in the first place? And it's relatively short, so why didn't they just come out and say that if you received any type of a tax benefit, then you're taxed for any money you receive from the state, refund or otherwise? COVID relief. Again, I'm just reading off the paper here. There are several states that also receive general welfare and disaster relief payments from the state, 21 of them, two of which may be falling under the same categories. They received payments from the state for COVID and then for general disaster relief, and that would be New York and Illinois. But in both cases, the IRS just said, yeah, it doesn't matter. We're not going to tax you on it, even though it's a taxable event. So I was back to scratching my head. Why these 4 states? Well, we still haven't figured it out at the moment. It'll become irrelevant, I'm sure, at some point, or maybe it won't. If you took any type of a tax or had any type of a tax benefit other than taking the itemized deduction, you are going to be taxed on any money received from the state as part of a relief payment in those 4 states. I know it still seems a little confusing going, wait, why? Because if you filed a standard but received the EIC and itemized, but the EIC is considered tax benefit. Because if you go over to, and I don't have it pulled up on my screen, sorry, investopedia.com, and you have it run a search for the word tax benefit. Now, again, this I learned at school is basically anything that alleviates your tax liability is a tax benefit. So, what is a tax benefit? The term is tax benefit refers to any tax that helps you reduce your tax liability. Benefits range from deductions and tax credits to exclusions and exemptions. They cover various areas, including programs for families, education, employees, and natural disasters. Some tax benefits are related to the ability to pay taxes. For example, the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit recognize the cost of raising families. Other tax benefits, including mortgage interest and charitable donations, are incentives designed to further social policy goals. So basically, if you filed your taxes in 2022 in the state of Georgia, Massachusetts, South Carolina, or Virginia, and did anything other than standardized deduction on your 1040, you received any money from the state, it is taxable. Please keep it for your tax accountant. Let them take a look at it. But yeah, it is taxable. But then again, if you read a little bit, they're not sure yet. They're still, because I'll quote from their first page. The IRS appreciates the patience of taxpayers, tax professionals, software companies, and state tax administrators as the IRS and Treasury work to resolve this unique and complex situation. So basically, if you've already filed your taxes this year, expect to file an amended return and have to pay taxes on any state money received. President's Day just passed. Yeah, that happened. And what happens? Well, 2 weeks earlier, 3 weeks earlier, there was a train crash, train derailment, I should say, in which the train company had decided it was best just to burn the train car as opposed to the fact that it might explode, causing more damage, in order to quickly clear the tracks so that progress could continue. Now we come to find out it released a lot of toxic gas that even residents in Ohio in that area that are using the municipal water are reporting that they're getting rashes just from taking a shower. Meanwhile, our glorious leader has gone ahead and promised $500 million to Ukraine. This is a war we need to stop. I don't know why we're continuing it, but for some reason we are. So even if we were to assume that Biden is the whore of Babylon, which I don't think he is, this is just opening the door for such things. We can look around and we can see quite easily that the devil is everywhere. There's no need to hide it. I know some people say, oh, it was back in rock and roll. And it's like, well, if you think about it, rock and roll at least was around with Christianity. Right now, we're in a place where, again, the devil has done the most convincing thing of convincing people he doesn't exist. And you can see that in everywhere we look in TV. Even the Russian leader is proclaiming how we've turned away from our moral values. And him and China getting together is to protect their nations from this weird, insane ideology. So weird and insane this ideology is that our glorious leader has gone, and I'm hoping AI can't tell sarcasm yet. So on February 16th, he signed the Advanced Initiative of Radical Equity. So before I go stumbling all over myself, let me very quickly. Executive Order on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. Hello, segregation. I'm glad to see you come back. It's just a matter of time. Basically, what this says when you read through it, and you can see it on their government website, whitehouse.gov. I put in, what was it? Advancing racial equity. And this was the first thing to actually come up on my search, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. Talks about landmark legislation, our work to transform the way the federal government serves the American people has been complemented by Executive Order 14035 on June 25th, 2021, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility in the Federal Workforce, which continues to help ensure that my administration, the most diverse in our nation's history, reflects the growing diversity of the communities we serve. So, as a matter of fact, the fact that we are on the verge of World War III shows exactly where diversity hires gets us. And I can tell you, it's gonna get worse. A lot worse. Why? I'm not worried until the Jews think the second coming of Jesus is here. Not meaning to be racist, meaning to be not meaning to be anti-Semitic, just they don't even, yeah, we're not there yet. My administration's commitment to equity has produced better decision making and more equitable outcomes. Equitable, not equal outcomes, but equitable outcomes. What this is saying, and this goes into the violence that we're starting to see in schools, where you have inner city youths beating up on white people. It's getting so bad that one girl even committed suicide because she was getting beat up at school. This is a concern. My own son, he comes and tells me how he's getting picked on at school. Why? Well, again, racism. People only judge you or judge him by the outward appearance of his skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. But again, that doesn't mean anything. I want to say he's white, but his mother is Hispanic and Native American. Yeah, yet he's constantly referred to as being German. He's proud of his heritage, where he comes from, those that came before him. Whereas me, I'm in a position towards those that will come after me. Going diversity, equity, and inclusion has brought us to the verge of World War III, in which I have to agree with Trump. We have never been closer. I don't even think in Cuba and the Cuban Missile Crisis were we closer to actually starting a nuclear war. And this time, I hate to say it, but we are the bad guys. We really are. We're the bad guys in all of this. Section 2, establishing equity-focused leadership across the federal government. That's why this is so insidious. Basically, again, it reaches every aspect of the federal government. Each agency equity team shall be led by a designated senior official. You know, this sounds a lot like forced unions, by the way, as well. You just don't have to pay dues yet. Charged with implementing my administration's equity initiative and shall include senior officials from the office of the agency head and the agency's program, policy, civil rights, regulatory, science, technology, service delivery, financial assistance and grants, data, budget, procurement, public engagement, legal evaluation office, as well as the agency's chief diversity officer. Wait, what? The agency's chief diversity officer. Yes, comrade, must make sure that it gets past the the government's, because there's truth and then there's the federal government's truth. So now he's also managed to create a new office within all of these branches of the government to include this communist who reports back to the Fuhrer, president, or somebody in between, about whether these people are doing what they should or should not do to ensure what the government considers equitable outcomes, not equal outcomes for all, equal justice for all. Well, basically, what this initiative goes on to say is that if a law does not guarantee an equitable outcome or has some form of disparagement in that law, the law must be changed so that the disparagement or inequity of it does not affect people. So again, something else, removing one person's, removing everybody's accountability or even responsibility because the government is giving you your rights on what you can and cannot do. Roald Dahl is being erased from history, having words changed. This is a concern to me. Because again, at one point, a couple years back, people were complaining how an ISIS would do this or a new political regime would come in and start erasing the previous history to their new, correct, whatever regime history they wanted to have. And we're doing the very same thing here. So, I wanted to take a moment in these wonderfully dark times to go over Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. I'd kind of glanced through it real quick and came across a quick paragraph that had kind of gotten to me some. I'm like, ooh, I'd like to share this. Okay, so Napoleon Hill is having a conversation. So Napoleon Hill, the basis of the book is he's having a conversation with the devil, explaining how to outwit the devil at his own game. So the question being, I am asking the questions and you are doing the answering. Go ahead now and confess why you are powerless to stop me from forcing this confession from you. I want your confession for aid and comfort to victims of your whims. Oops. I intend to release from your control the moment they read your confessions. And the answer from the devil. I am powerless to influence or control you because you have found the secret approach to my kingdom. You know that I exist only in the minds of people who have fears. You know that I control only the drifters who neglect to use their own minds. You know that my hell is here on earth and not in the world that comes after death. And you know also that the drifters supply all the fires I use in my hell. You know that I am principle or form of energy which expresses the negative side of matter and energy, and that I am not the person with a forked tongue and spiked tails. You have become my master because you have mastered all your fears. Lastly, you know that you can release all of my earthbound victims whom you contact, and that definite knowledge is the blow with which you will deal me the greatest damage. I cannot control you because you have discovered your own mind, and you have taken charge of it. There are dark times. There's a lot of fear, even if the devil doesn't exist and is more of the negative of matter and energy. Allowing fear is more than one way in which the devil can get in, manipulate you. I know that these seem to be dark times, but do not fear because, again, you are a believing Christian. As I said, if Biden is the whore of Babylon, he's still got about another 1,000 years to deal with this. What are we supposed to do in the 1,000 years? The best we can. Be the best example of what we're supposed to be. Follow, teach the Word of God. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to join me today. I hope that there is something within this video that is a benefit to you or to somebody that you know. Wow. Anyways, you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, as well as locals where you can support us. I do actually have a video behind the paywall. It's a business. Please feel free to visit us at dlmentors.com. Now, when you go visit that, that's more of our accounting aspect of the business as opposed to the media production side of our business. But feel free to contact us through there as well. You can also contact us on Gettr and Minds, where we also will post links to our various videos. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to join me. I hope that there's something within this video that is a benefit to you or to somebody that you know. Please like, subscribe, share. Please leave a comment down below. And I do want to say thank you to those who do and have said that, these videos just show up randomly on my video feed because it does actually help promote the video. With that, I want to go ahead and end and say, united we stand, divided we fall. God bless you and God bless America.